Als erste Fremdsprache erlernen alle Schülerinnen und Schüler an der IGS Wedemark Englisch. Der Englischunterricht lebt vom Miteinander sprechen und vielfältigen weiteren Sprechanlässen. Daneben werden über verschiedene kooperative Methoden das Wissen über englischsprachige Kulturen und Länder und der Wortschatz kontinuierlich erweitert und geübt. Dabei werden auch immer wieder ältere Schülerinnen und Schüler eingebunden, die entweder den Unterricht gemeinsam mit der Lehrkraft gestalten oder aber von ihren Erfahrungen während eines Auslandsjahrs berichten. Im Austausch nehmen dann auch die jeweiligen Gastgeschwister am Unterricht der IGS Wedemark teil, so wie hier Etienne aus Südafrika. Fester Bestandteil sind die Studienreisen nach England in Jahrgang 8 sowie in Jahrgang 11 und 12 nach Wales oder Irland. Hier erleben die Schülerinnen und Schüler in Gastfamilien, im Sprachunterricht und einem abwechslungsreichen Programm die Kultur der Länder. In der Sekundarstufe 2 ist das Seminarfach Großbritannien, das bilingual unterrichtet wird, fester Bestandteil des Lehrplans. Darüber hinaus finden jährliche Vorstellungen von englischen Theatergruppen in allen Jahrgängen statt, sodass die Schülerinnen und Schüler immer wieder Kontakt zu Muttersprachlern haben. In den überregionalen Wettbewerben wie Big Challenge und dem internationalen anerkannten TOEFL-Test schneiden unsere Schülerinnen und Schüler durchweg überdurchschnittlich gut ab. Am TOEFL-Test nehmen die Schülerinnen und Schüler der Sekundarstufe 2 teil. Dieser erleichtert den Zugang zu bestimmten Studiengängen bzw. kann die Bewerbung im Studium oder Ausbildungsplatz positiv beeinflussen. In den nun folgenden Präsentationen der Schülerinnen und Schüler aus Jahrgang 10 sieht man, wie im Fach Englisch die verschiedenen Aspekte der IGS Wedemark miteinander verknüpft werden. Umweltschule, digitale Schule und das Fach an sich. Viel Spaß dabei!
So, good morning, Mrs. Ohm. I'm welcoming you to my presentation about how to make my school greener. And yes, I hope you have a lot of fun. My presentation is good. Yes, let's start.
Great, so there's my subdivision for the video, which I will introduce you right now. As you can see, first off, I'm going to explain what actually the carbon footprint is and how it affects our nature. Secondly, I'm going to introduce my main idea and also how that idea could reduce global warming. Therefore, I also asked some experts, like I did an interview with them, I wrote them on Instagram and they actually responded, so I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, let's start. Carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere as a result of the activities of a particular individual, organization, or community. We are causing it in nearly every activity we do without actually noticing what we just did there. Going on holidays 5 times a year by plane, visiting your friend for a cup of tea by car, although she lives in your area, and so on. All this stuff causes a huge amount of carbon dioxide, and especially the rides with a car or plane are extremely unhealthy for our atmosphere. Of course, is the greenhouse effect very important for our planet. It causes an enjoyable average temperature of 15 degrees and protects our planet from getting too cold. But sunlight penetrates the gas layer of the atmosphere. It's partly absorbed and partly reflected, just like in a greenhouse. Small particles in the air ensure that a percentage of the reflected radiation is sent back to Earth for keeping a pleasant temperature. However, humans cause a lot of pollution by producing large amounts of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. The small particles increase in number and the result is just like in a greenhouse where the glass is too thick. So an increased amount of radiation is sent back to Earth and the heat is now unable to escape, causing temperatures to rise constantly on our planet. Just as much as we are acting negligently. And to avoid the climate change and all this stuff, so that the climate change and pollution is going on, my main idea is actually to create a whole new subject named sustainability. For that, I crossed out the subject Verfügung 2 hours because of the 1 free hour, and history 1 hour. I think it's just not enough to tell the students that they have to toss their bottle into the right bin or to eat less meat or to come to school with a bike, like, you know what I want to say. It's just not enough in my opinion when you really just want to reach a good result. And that's why I think creating a completely new subject would be perfect to reduce global warming, also if it's only a bit. Yeah, this will be the timetable. As you can see, 1 hour of theory on Monday and 2 hours of practice on Thursday are each scheduled. And when you're now begun to think and what to do in these lessons, I'm going to tell you right after I told you how the note division is working. Yeah, and for that I created a diagram. As you can see, the note is split with 20% of the oral performance, also 20% of the written performance, and 60% of the subject-specific performance. Very, very great. Now, first off, I have to say that I divorced the groups in the classes in 2 groups, year 5 to 10 and year 10 to 13. And yeah, now what to do in practice and theory. So the first thing when I was creating all the stuff for practice was a school garden, or to create a school garden. That is also the main idea, or one of the biggest. It's a nice way to show the kids how easy it is to grow their own veggies, and you also get a lot of students involved. The second point are trips to landfills or recycling centers. Sometimes for the kids, it isn't deliberately for them how large the amount of or greenhouse gases actually is. A trip to a landfill or to an I don't know, for example, to a landfill, for example, would definitely illustrate the amount we produce in a very good way. Then things for the subject-specific stuff could be things like holding a recycling bin contest, or making your own glue, or reusing things in a creative way. As you can see in the right picture, the woman is upcycling plastic bottles and so on. And yeah, that was what I planned for practice year 5 to 10. Then, what to do in theory lessons. Yeah, the theory lessons shouldn't become too dry. This is very important. Also because they should really comprehend all these things they get teach very, very well, and that just don't work with boring lessons. Therefore, they should watch like movies with environmental themes, playing games that has something to do with sustainability, and of course, very, very important, talking and planning about the upcoming things they do in practice. Yeah, the older students should now really understand all these things very, very well. Some of them who are also really good and also interested in building the garden. Should have a chance to be involved in the construction. This offer counts, of course, also for the young students. And of course, are the older students now true pros in this whole sustainability thing. And that's why they should be an example. They could help encouraging biking or walking to school, or hosting a solar cookout, or like, yeah. Yes, the things they do in practice, the things they do in theory is nearly similar to the timetable which the younger students are having. Planning upcoming projects and just simple things around sustainability. They should also try to make their classroom a zero-waste classroom. This would be very, very, very cool. They could rely on natural light, clean with natural environmental projects, and also add more indoor plants. Now to the interview. Yes, this is actually the garden, a potential area for the garden where I think the garden could fit in the school area. This would be a great place. These are the advantages. One more time, shows how easy it is to grow their own veggies. The kids to grow their own veggies. Then getting students involved, like they dig in, they get dirty, great. So the interview evaluation. Yes, as I said, I wrote a message to the main Instagram pages of Fridays for Future, and they actually responded, which is pretty cool, I think. And the resolution is also very, very cool. And yeah, let's start. So the first question I asked was how high the probability is that a new subject like that could be actually being added to the German timetables. And the answer was that it's actually pretty low. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Culture is working pretty slow, and they are also busy with a lot of other things. It may be no later added than when the climate change is developed to a disaster. Sounds hard, but yeah. Does this subject exist in other schools? Yeah, yup. In Italy and France is that subject part of the timetable. Are there more advantages or disadvantages? Clearly more advantages. It would be a perfect way to prepare the students. Also, it will definitely promote conscious consumption and also cause a lot of equality. Like not every kid or students have the chance to be enlightened by a family or friends. Should it be a must-have in German timetables? Yeah, it should be a must-have. The younger students or the younger generation should be enlightened about their future and what could happen if they don't act like they're supposed to act. Yes, could that subject be connected with Fridays for Future in some way? Yes, Fridays for Future would really like to be included in the design or layout of the subject. They could do some guest presentations or do some workshops together with the school. Great.
So that was my presentation about how to make my school greener. I hope the idea was good and it could also reduce global warming in some way, hopefully. And yeah, very nice. I hope you had fun.
Hello and welcome to my presentation about my ideas for the project Make Your School Greener. At first, I will give you some reasons why we should make our school greener. Then I will explicate the greenhouse effect and the carbon footprint. After that, I'm going to present you some of my ideas how we could make our school greener, and at the end you could see the bibliography. I hope I can convince you with my ideas. We should make our school greener because we have so many problems with our environment. The environment suffers from our behavior. The amount of CO2 in the atmosphere is rising and the earth becomes warmer. One of the biggest problems is also the consumption and the waste of plastic. We use it in our everyday life and sometimes it seems to be necessary. But we all can do something against plastic waste and we can also fight against it in our school. With making our school greener, we can be more environmentally friendly. We can generate cost savings in the form of reduced water and energy use, and the school will be sustainable. The greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is one of the consequences from our behavior towards the Earth. It is a natural process where the absorbed energy warms the atmosphere and that warms the Earth's surface like oceans and land. When the sun's energy reaches the Earth's atmosphere, some of it is reflected back to space and the rest is absorbed and re-radiated by greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases include water vapor, carbon dioxide and many other emissions. This process maintains the Earth's temperature and allowing life on Earth to exist. The problem we now face is that human activities, particularly burning fossil fuels like coal, oil and natural gas, agriculture and land clearing are increasing the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere. This is the enhanced greenhouse effect causing the Earth's temperature to rise. As you can see, living on Earth without greenhouse gases is impossible, but if the amount is too high, it turns out really bad for all of us. The carbon footprint. The carbon footprint is the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that we release into the atmosphere as the result of different types of activity. The worst amount of emission do we produce by using the electricity and heat, but the burning of fossil fuels, farming and industrial processes are also causing a lot of emissions. There are lots of different causes for our carbon footprint, but there are also lots of ways how we can reduce or improve our carbon footprint. And so let's start with my ideas how to make our school greener. We should use public transport or carpools, but the best is to walk or to bike to school and in your everyday life. You can also improve your carbon footprint by turning off the light when you leave a room or turn down the heating if the temperature you want is reached. It's also important to use environmentally friendly cleaning fluids and non-toxic pesticides, and it's also very good if we could introduce that there is one or the best more indoor plants in every classroom so that the photosynthesis keeps the oxygen content in a good zone and you will be able to be focused even better. We should also introduce that the water taps are only able to run for a certain time because it's water wasting if the taps are running all the time without need. Dustbins. My first idea are dustbins. On the left picture you can see how the dustbins look like in our schoolyard. We already have several dustbins for paper and plastic in our classrooms, but we should have a small container for residual waste too. It's also important that we have the possibility to separate our rubbish in different dustbins on our schoolyard. On the right picture, you can see how that maybe could look like. How I already said, is the waste of plastic a big problem and the separation of rubbish is important for our environment. Drinking stations. My second idea are drinking stations. We already have water dispensers in our canteen, but I think that we should have kind of water dispensers in each classroom too. I'm talking about drinking stations. We could have reusable cups like the ones on the right photo and have sustainable water bottles. It's very useful too if you forgot your water bottle at home. Everybody would have its own cup and we could bring them from home. I'm not sure yet how we would pay the water bottles, if we pay them from our class cash register or otherwise. Maybe we could reduce the plastic waste and form from water bottles a little bit if we introduce these drinking stations. School garden. My last idea is to reorganize our school garden. We could use the already existing area and plant new plants like fruit bushes or trees. For that, we should find sponsors. With this help, we can buy, for example, watering cans and flower soil. We could pour the plants with catched rainwater. To take care of the school garden, we could compile a school garden team. Besides, we could sell safe-made jelly or just the fruits at the breakfast mothers. Therapy, we can save on plastic and greenhouse gases like CO2 during the delivery process if we do not buy jelly but do homemade jelly. If I should win, we could transform some of the ideas into the reality, and we could do a small step against climate change and basic environmental issues, and we could make our school a bit greener. Okay, that was my presentation. I hope you liked it and that I could convince you.
Welcome to my presentation about Make Your School Greener. I hope that my ideas will help our school to improve and that you will enjoy my presentation. First of all, what is global warming and why and how is the carbon footprint and also the greenhouse effect connected to it? Let's start with the carbon footprint. What is a carbon footprint? A carbon footprint are mainly actions you leave on Earth, which include carbon. You and everything you own has its own carbon footprint. A big problem are harmful gases like CO2, which are made by burning stuff like oil or gas. Many things seem harmless, but there's often also a big process behind them, like reading a book. It seems harmless, but a book is also made in a factory, which needs energy. The same with an apple. It maybe comes from a different country, so it has to come to your country first by a plane or a boat. Again, a big harmful footprint. So, how could we try to improve our carbon footprint? You should make sure what you buy, especially you should not buy any products which are not made in your country because they have to come into your country first. Especially in winter times, you should not buy like strawberries or blueberries, etc. Also, we should try to stop using that much of harmful stuff and try not to support harmful stuff. How I said, don't buy any vegetables or fruits in the winter season because they also have a big process behind them to come into your country. So then let's switch to the greenhouse effect. First of all, what is a greenhouse? A greenhouse is normally something useful. It helps us growing things like tomatoes or any other vegetables or fruits which are out of season. In a greenhouse, it's nice and warm inside. The sunlight enters and visible light penetrates the glass. This is partly absorbed by the plants in the soil and partly reflected on the outside. It has invisible heat radiation as a result, and temperatures rise inside the greenhouse. So, how's the greenhouse effect on our Earth? You have to know that we have a natural greenhouse effect. Without it, temperatures on our planet will be around -18 degrees Celsius, so we will not survive. Humans cause a lot of pollution by producing a large amount of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Because of this, in the sunlight shine, the particles around us result something like a greenhouse where the glass is too thick. So an increased amount of radiation is sent back to Earth and the heat is unable to escape, causing temperatures to rise constantly on our planet. Most energy is absorbed by gases and reflected in all directions to warm the Earth. So, how could we try to improve the greenhouse effect or even try to get it away? First of all, we should stop to fly so often with the plane and also to stop using the car that often. Maybe go by train or bus or any other public transport, or even walk or ride the bike to go somewhere. It will help a lot. So how you can see, the carbon footprint and the greenhouse effect are big problems we have at the planet, especially because they cause a lot of harmful consequences for us. Like animals are dying, temperatures are rising, ice is melting, sea levels are rising. They cause many harmful substances, especially the humans do. And also, we won't survive if we won't stop. So how could we improve our school to make it more environmentally friendly? I want to tune our canteen. Many students don't want to eat there because the food doesn't look great, first of all. So our school needs a good catering service that takes care of organic and sustainable food. Many schools and especially universities in Hanover have the service already. Our school needs to improve too. It should stop having meat or fish meals because many students don't like it for some reasons, or for example, because they are vegetarian. It is a waste of food in some ways. So the catering service must attach great importance to sustainability and deliver biologic products. Not only the taste and the look will improve, it will also protect the environment and the resources. Our school would also stop wasting energy on delivering if we would only get the amount of food that the students would eat. More students would probably eat in our canteen if our school would improve the look and the taste of the food in general, so our school would get some new standards. So my idea would improve the global warming because we would stop eating meat and stop supporting the emergence of CO2. And without eating fish, we would stop supporting the additional breeding of fish types, and we will protect the environment. I hope that my idea was helpful and that our school will improve soon. Thank you for listening.
You want to save your future?